everybody, this is my end of the year reading survey. Everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Sophie the Bookish, and today I'm gonna be doing the end of the year reading survey. I actually saw it yesterday from Gabby Reads. I really love her channel, and I thought it was a little bit better than the end of the year book tag. So let's go ahead and get started. I have my questions right here, so I might turn around and look at the questions. So the first one is, how many books did you read? So I set up my goals to 112 books. So for the last 2 years, I've been on a Bookstagram for 3 years now. This is my 3rd year. I've been on this reading journey, like taking it seriously with goals and things like that for 3 years. The first year that I started, I set up a goal of trying to achieve like 10 books a month, but I started in October and I realized really quickly that I could do it. So I did that October, November, and December of 2022, and I set up once I did that, I read 30 books in the last 3 months of 2022. I thought, well, maybe I could do 100 books in a year, thinking that I probably was not gonna get such a great streak during that whole year. Probably gonna get a couple of bad months. So I decided, keeping it safe, let's do 100 books a year. And then since I reached that goal last year, I decided, okay, still play it a little bit safe and just add one more book per month. So I just added 12 books to my goal, so 112 books. Honestly, I wasn't sure if I was gonna make it. Some months were really bad, based on different things, from health to time to situations, whatever. You never know what's gonna happen, whether it's your health or your timing or however busy you are, or your reading slump, whatever it is that you might be going through. So I thought I might not do it. So I set up a challenge where I can reach my goal, but also try something new and different in December. And I was actually able to reach my goal. I could have read more books, but I decided to, the last couple of weeks, to just take it slowly and just even take it super slow with the last book that I read, which I really wanted to take in. And really, I was really intentional with the last book that I picked for the year. I really wanted to take it slow, take it all in, read it within my own time, not rush to finish it. So yeah, I definitely hit my goal, just exactly 112 books. So that's the amount of books that I read this year. Okay, the next question is, what is your most read genre? And this was a surprise to me because this is my least favorite genre. And I think it was because I was trying to really give it a chance and really try to find like things that I really loved. And my most read genre this year was romance. Yeah, I read a lot of romance. I have it right here. I read 27 romance books. Jeez. I cannot say that I found a lot of romance that I love. I still only have like a few that I love. Mostly there were fails in that category. I'm not a fan of contemporary romance. I'm more of a fan of like Regency romance. That I find that the tropes work better with the customs of the time. When you try to insert those tropes into contemporary, they don't work for me. They have to be done really well. They have to make sense for the situation that it's presented. They often don't. So yeah, that was my most read genre. After that, my most read genre was fantasy, which does make a lot of sense. I like fantasy a lot. So yeah, I think romance was because I was trying to give it a chance, and fantasy is because I love fantasy. Okay, the longest book and the shortest book that I read. The longest book that I read was Arabian Nights, 1001 Nights. As you guys might know it, this is a huge book. I actually didn't finish the book. That book, it's written or it's published in different sections, so I read a pretty long section. of it, which was published and completed. But if you read the whole thing, it's like incredibly long. But the one that I selected is 1049 pages. That's the one that I finished. And then there's the shortest book that I read. It was for December, and it was The Seven Candles of Kwanzaa, and that's 32 pages. And happy Kwanzaa to all of those who celebrate and who are taking part in Kwanzaa right now, which started yesterday, I believe. Yeah. Well, you're watching this at a later time, so it started on the 26th. So yeah. My favorite book that was published in 2024 is the next question. I don't read a lot of newly published books. Most of the books that I read are back titles or backlist titles because I read per theme based on, I try to make my reading list as diverse as possible. So what I do is I take the American calendar of commemorative celebrations per month. That is the heritage that they celebrate, the cultural heritage that they celebrate per month, or that they honor per month, and those are the ones that I try to select. I'm still gonna do this this year, but I'm also gonna be trying to mood read a bit more, so I'm kind of gonna divide it into that. But I still want to keep my reading list pretty diverse. But I don't read a lot of newly published books, so let me see if I have any books that were published this year. Oh wait, I read Most Ardently, which was published this year. Okay, yeah, I have a favorite. So Most Ardently was published in January 2024, and Most Ardently is a retelling of Pride and Prejudice. If you remember that line of Most Ardently, I will not spoil it for you, so you can go ahead and read it or watch the movie or read Pride and Prejudice. But Most Ardently is a retelling of Pride and Prejudice, where is the story between Mr. Darcy and Oliver Bennet, which is a transgender boy or young man, and their love story. And it was so beautiful. It made me cry. The way it was told, it was so. I don't usually like when they do retellings of things. They have to be handled really well. They have to keep the integrity of the story but make it their own. Like Clueless is the best retelling of any of the Austen works, where they change a lot of things but they still have the essence of the story. And here it's kind of tricky because they keep almost everything except for that big part of making the main character a transgender character, which is a big change for the time period, but is based on a lot of research and historical research that the author did. There's an author's note at the end and at the beginning, so there's a lot of information there. You can tell that there's well researched, handled with care. And the story, the essence is really beautiful. Like I said, I never imagined that I would be crying when I listened to the audiobook, when listening to the audiobook, but I did. So if I have to pick a favorite published in 2024, that would be Most Ardently, definitely. Favorite debut from 2024. Okay, for my favorite debut, although it wasn't published in 2024, it was published in 2023, and this is from Kimi Friedman, and this is the damn season, and this is inspired by the song by Taylor Swift, and literally is almost beat by beat the song. And let me just tell you, as someone who doesn't like I said, contemporary romance, because they don't do it well, this one did it well. But what is most impressive is that this was published by a 16-year-old girl, like, written by a 16-year-old girl. Like, Kimi Freeman is a 16-year-old girl who wrote this. Like, how are we underestimating girls at this point? Like, this is insane. She took the song, she wrote a story based on the song, but it is very impressive. A very impressive feat to do this and to be so young and be able to get it and do it well. And yeah, I think that, and she's only had this book this novel, this romance novel, and a poetry collection. So I would consider this her debut, because this is a novel. Um, so yeah, it is very impressive, and that would be like my favorite debut from Kimmy Freeman, and I'm definitely gonna keep my eye on her. She only has those two things right now, but if she can do that at 16, I can imagine with life experience and more writing experience what she's gonna be able to write later on in the future. So I'm gonna keep my eye on her. Okay, my favorite book not published this year. What is my favorite book of the year? I have a lot of books that I loved, and then I have a lot of books that I haven't been able to stop thinking about that I didn't necessarily love, like give it like 5 stars because they changed my life. I love the characters a lot or anything like that, but I just can't stop thinking about them. So some one that I would say that is like quiet, I guess is the right way, is Prodigal Summer. And this is by Barbara Kingsolver, who was very popular last year with Demon Copperhead. And I think before that she had another book. I can't remember the name, but she was well known because of her other book before. And then she was really popular because of Demon Copperhead, which is a retelling of David Copperfield. But nobody talks about Prodigal Summer, and I read it at the beginning of the year, and it's a story about three women who live in a small town, like farming town, and how they are living completely different lives, and they're not even like, the stories don't intersect. There's three separate stories, and they're all living like their small life. That's why I'm saying that it's really quiet, but in the big impact that that small life has on them, and how um they are living and they are surviving that small life. And I think that's very important for women. I think that is often the way women live their lives, in a small way, like day-to-day basis, day-to-day chores, day-to-day things that they're going through, um, but making a really big impact in communities, um, that people don't notice. And they have a lot, or we have a lot of knowledge, and we do a lot of service that people don't notice, because there's small little things that add up to build a community. And like I said, it's very quiet, and people don't notice maybe until it's not there anymore. So I really like that book. Another one that I really like is Elatsoe. I kept thinking about, whenever I kept reading it, and I kept thinking about people talking a lot about Twilight, and how Twilight did um, the indigenous peoples wrong, and how they didn't like that part, and a lot of discourse around that. And I kept thinking, why? Okay, there's a lot of discourse around that, and they're correct, but why aren't people talking then about it? That's why aren't people reading it out? So why aren't they recommending it out? So like, let's give an option. And a lot. So it's about a girl who has an indigenous girl who has abilities to I guess kind of not talk, but connect with the other side, the other world, and talk to and bring to life things that have already gone to the other side, including creatures. Mostly she does this with creatures, even creatures that have been extinct for thousands of hundreds of millions of years. But in one day, when her cousin comes to her in spirit, because he has passed away, and asks her to help solve his murder. And there's a lot of um, what people would call magical realism, but I don't like to use that term when it comes to indigenous people, because I feel like it's not the correct term. Uh, uh, for them, I'm not sure which one it is. I feel like that's more of a Latin American term, but I'm not sure. Let me know in the comments if you would think that's the appropriate term or not, or what's the appropriate term. But there's a lot of and it's also the genres. I think it's classified as fantasy, which also I feel like it's kind of bringing it down, because there's a lot of I feel like with cultures from indigenous peoples, whether it's Native American or in Latin America, there's this connection to the earth, into the universe that we cannot explain, and that's the way that we can explain it, with calling it magical realism or fantasy. But anyways, that's I'm not sure the appropriate way of saying it, so I don't want to say a lot. But yeah, this is a great book if you like those types of stories. And there are vampires and wolves and that connection to the earth and to the other side. So if you like all that, you are gonna love Elatsue. And then also Moon of the Turning Leaves, which is the sequel to Moon of the Turning Snow, or Snow of the keep forgetting, but it's a dystopian about a world where there's the power kind of goes off, and the people that are surviving are the indigenous people, because they have tools and knowledge and wisdom to survive with the land and of the land. And obviously here comes the uh, people who are just trying to take advantage and survive with the other means, and how are they gonna try and survive again. So yeah, this is one of my favorites. And then also The Truth According to Ember, and Women Eating, and there's so many that I really like. Once I do like my favorites 5 stars, I think that's when you're gonna see all of them. But yeah, there was a lot of good ones this year. A book that lived up to the hype. Okay, I know, and even my Fable recap told me this one that I kind of jumped on the hype train. And Six of Crows. This year I read Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom, and lived up to the hype. The thing about Six of Crows is that I knew about Six of Crow from Carrie Can Read, and she loved it, and then other people recommended it, people that I trust, and booktube, and then Book Talk kind of got hold of it. I'm not on Book Talk, I don't know, but other booktubers talk about Book Talk, and I know that Book Talk kind of got a hold of it and loved it, because obviously it's Six of Crows, and because Book Talk is so big and so popular with a certain demographic, it blew up. So people think that Book Talk blew up Six of Crows, but people have been talking about Six of Crows since like forever. So because Book Talk is talking about it, a lot of people think this is a Book Talk recommendation, but really it's been popular forever. And is it good? Yeah, it's good, it's great. It's everything you think about. Is the series people should have been focusing on Netflix and not the Shadow and Bone series, or they should have been two separate things. They never should have been together. They didn't give it justice to the Crows, and neither to the other show. I think that was Ayemi's opportunity to put everything together. But yeah, it was definitely lived up to the hype. I loved everything about it. I like read it, I think, in a day. It's been forever since I've done that, and immediately got the second part. I have the physical one for Six of Crows, and I immediately had to get like the audiobook for Crooked Kingdom, and I'm still searching for it because I buy most of my books secondhand, either from library shops or secondhand shops. So yeah, I'm searching for my Crooked Kingdom this year. Hopefully I get it. If not, I will have to buy it brand new. But that's fine because I love that duology. Definitely lived up to the hype. A book that did not live up to the hype is the one that I read in December, and definitely a Fable also called me up on that, and as a hot take. And it's the most wonderful crime of the year, or the most wonderful crime of the year. I thought I didn't like that. I didn't like that at all, not one bit. I gave it 2 stars. I thought it was the characters were unlikable. This romance wasn't great. Like I said, I don't particularly like contemporary romance. It wasn't well written, well established. It was annoying. It didn't make any sense in the scenes, and then the mystery wasn't even making any sense either. It wasn't fun. It wasn't funny. There were scenes that were repeated. They were going through the same thing. They try to pass it as a Knives Out kind of story. It's not as clever, it's not as smart, it's not anything. I know I keep saying that and I keep being mean about it, but it's not. What bothers me is they try to sell you something that is not, and that people are talking about it and kind of going around it. And there's one person, the only person that has had the same opinion that I have is Carrie from Carrie Can Read, and obviously, and she said it, and it might be the case that people are gonna love it or hate it. And I think Carrie and I kind of, maybe she didn't hate it, but we kind of are in the camp of we don't like it, and the other people are in the camp of they like it. However, a lot of people say I don't like it, I don't like the romance, I don't like the mystery, but I'm gonna give it 3.5 or 3 stars or 3.75. If you don't like it, that's not a 3 stars, that's not a 3.5, that's not a 3.75, that's a 2. Like, why are you giving stuff that you don't like more than a 3? Like, I don't understand that. So yeah, so I don't understand, like, it made me question the star rating. Carrie doesn't do star ratings, I do star ratings. Anyways, that's my way of thinking. And so when people give it 3.75, I'm like, that's close to like a 9, like that's close to like a B. Why? I don't understand. So anyway, that's my rant on that book. It didn't live up to the hype, and it always makes me mad when I talk about it. So that's enough of that book. Book that felt like the biggest accomplishment. When I read a book that felt like the biggest accomplishment to read, I'm gonna say, and this is an odd one, but I'm gonna say Translating Myself and Others by Yumpalahiri. I really like that book, and the reason why I felt like the biggest accomplishment is because it kind of goes with my studies, my field of studies. I have a bachelor's in communications, a master's in education. I am certified as a ESL, English as a second language instructor or teacher. I also teach Spanish as a second language. I do translation. A lot of my work and a lot of the things that I do are based on language, on translation, and on communication, things like that. So it felt like an accomplishment because it really helped me see the word and understand, also understanding translated work. I have a big fight or a struggle with translated work, why it works, why it doesn't. I also have a big struggle understanding Latin American literature. Even though my first language is Spanish, I don't understand the style. For the longest time, I couldn't understand the style, why it was written a certain way, why I didn't like it, because I don't like it a lot of the times. There's certain books that I have liked, but most of them, I can honestly say like 80% of the books that I read in Spanish, I don't like, and I mostly give them like 2 stars. There's something about the style, and I know that a lot of people that like Latin American literature are English speaking people and are reading the translation in English. So I don't know if I do that, will I like it more? Because it loses a little bit of the way of the style that it's intending in Spanish. But reading this book, understanding how she approaches translating, how the roots of literature in Latin America came about, how we have been influenced by European literature, and how our style has developed, all of that, like understanding a little bit more about my taste, what my dislikes, and our history and all of that, like that really helped me out a lot. So I think that is my biggest accomplishment, more on an academic level, because helped me understand a bit more about, oh, okay, this is why it's written this way, this is why there's a history of this that we don't necessarily understand why, or we are not conscious of why that is. We just simply write this way in Latin America, and maybe it's time to change that. And I know that a lot of younger authors are doing that because they have more of an influence of American literature now, or even Asian literature now. So yeah, it's very interesting, that dynamic that's changing. So anyways, that is my biggest accomplishment when it comes to something that I read. My favorite character. Okay, my one of my favorite characters of this year is Ember, definitely from The Truth According to Ember. I had so much fun with her. She reminded me so much me, of my friends, of all of us in our 20s, just starting out, not figuring things out. So she is a Native American girl who is starting her first like real corporate job. But she has to fib a little bit in order to get that job, saying that she has a degree, that she doesn't. She's trying to kind of climb that corporate ladder because she is in need of the money. She is in need of a stable job, which we can all relate to. And she is planning, obviously, with that money to continue her studies, to actually finish her studies, which she isn't that far off from doing, and to continue to better herself. But as she goes through a series of events in her job and meets this is a romance, and meets a guy there, a series of things start to happen, and her life kind of snowballs into bigger ones and bigger ones, and it's all kind. I always said that, or when I was talking about her, I said that she was a hot mess, and it was only because her one lie kind of had to snowball into big other ones and bigger ones, and she couldn't kind of get out of that mess. And because she was so young and she was just starting, and she was scared, obviously, and she need this is when it makes sense, when miscommunication with lies, when misunderstanding makes sense. She needed her. It was an actual need, urgency for her to keep that job. It was literally her well-being, her her livelihood. It was in that job. um so there's that makes sense for her to take those risks and do those things. It's not just cuz. So yeah, I definitely liked her a lot. I understood what she was doing. Then didn't necessarily agree. I saw the train wreck coming and I was scared for her. And I laughed a lot with her. She was really funny. She was someone that you saw making mistakes, but you could realize, you could see yourself in your 20s making maybe not those mistakes, but making mistakes, knowing that she's gonna learn something, knowing that it's not gonna, because the romance, it's not gonna be like super dramatic or anything. It's not like it's fiction or literary fiction. But you can see like the train wreck coming, and you know how to stop, and you're just gonna be there to watch it. But there's also a lot of fun moments with her. So yeah, I thought she was one of my favorite characters, and obviously, Cass and Inesh from Six of Crows. How can you not love them? Even though it's also super messed up, but you have to love them. So yeah, I think those are some of my favorite characters. My least favorite character, I mean, the people from It's a Wonderful Crime, like they were so annoying. So annoying. And who else was one of my least favorite characters? I read a book at the end of the year, like a couple of weeks ago, or a few weeks, or a week ago, I don't even remember, called Kisses and Wishes, with was my first mistake. It was for my Christmas challenge. Um and it's a really misleading book that is for adults, so please don't read it. Or I mean, if it's your thing, read it. It's definitely not my thing. But if you go on my Goodreads, like the cover that it's on my Goodreads, it's like not misleading, but the cover that it's actually on my Everand is like a super cutesy romantic, like you would think that it's a romance book like any other like teen book or things like that. It's super misleading, and this is really like rated R like type of, and the characters are really like out there with the heaviness, and I think really didn't like them because I think it's borderline a little bit even violent. So I really didn't like that. I didn't like those characters, and I thought the more I think about it, the more I dislike it. I think I gave it 3 or 2.5 stars, and I think I'm gonna go ahead and bump it down to like 1. I really didn't like it. The more I think about it, the less I like it. So, and I think it's really misleading, the cover. in the description for young people to have access to that. And I'm not one who likes to ban books, but I think it's important to let people know what they're reading. No trigger warnings, no accurate description, no misleading cover. I think like I didn't like that. So yeah, I as you can see, didn't like the characters, didn't like all of that. It feels really icky. Oh my god, the husband from the yellow wallpaper. Good, that guy kept gaslighting the wife. Okay, the yellow wallpaper is a novela, super short, and if you ever not understand who does gaslighting, what does gaslighting mean, please read this book. This poor girl, like, please read this book, and that husband deserves like horrible things. So yeah, the husband from the yellow wallpaper. And I mean, most of the husbands from A Thousand Splendid Suns. Yeah, also them. Uh, oh, also the girl from The Woman in Cabin 10. Ugh. I also like a lot of dumb choices. I know it's a mystery. I know it's a murder mystery. You have to make dumb choices to make the story longer. No, no, thank you. No, thank you. Okay, and I think I'm gonna leave it there. Okay. Most shocking book moment. Most shocking book moment. Uh I think the whole YN book was shocking. Like the Esther G YN book about being obsessed with like Korean pop stars, but being really nonchalant about it and being like, this is not a like a cutesy I'm obsessed paranormal, not paranormal, should be paranormal, parasocial. A lot of people are kind of, oh, the parasocial, a relationship with celebrities where you think, oh, they really like you, they know you. No, 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 this girl has like real mental issues, not to make fun of. Like, this is a problem, it's an actual problem. And I feel like it's being treated like, oh, it's funny, like nowadays people have parasocial relationship with celebrities because they're on Instagram and they think they know them and they're friends. There's a difference, there's a line being crossed, and this girl really has a mental issue, and that is not discussed when the book is being discussed. And again, same thing, I feel like a lot sometimes, like, people really talk about them in the surface, and why are we not going deeper? Why are we not talking about these issues? Like, it's okay to read for fun, that's great, but when some books are like seriously talking about certain topics, we have to discuss them. Like, don't go on social media and talk about these books like they're like fluff and fun. They're not. And I think it's irresponsible to just sway people into reading. Like, a lot of people were talking about this book and a lot of people were grabbing it, and I think it's really irresponsible, especially because the whole Korean pop star thing, a lot of young women are reading it, and I don't want them thinking that this is normal, that having those type of thoughts and feelings, it's normal. Like, this is a woman with a mental issue, obviously, and she needs help, that like the main character, and that should be discussed in the conversation of the book. So anyway, yeah, that's one of them. Favorite couple, my favorite couple has to be Ember and, god, I can't remember the guy's name. Okay, I hate saying this because I do not want to reduce him to this, but she kept calling him native daddy, and that's how she had him saved on her phone. And that's what got, every time she called him that, I would laugh out loud because it was so ridiculous that she had him saved like that. And that was stuck in my head. So her and or him and Ember from The Truth According to Ember is one of my favorite couples. The couple Darcy and Oliver from Most Ardently, obviously. Um, who else? I mean, I don't want to spoil it, but Cass and Nash. I read a book called Romancing Her Rival, which is a clean. Oh, I also hate that because most Regency like it's clean. Most books are clean. There's some that are not. Like when they're not, they're gonna tell you that they're not, or they should tell you that they're not. But this is classified as clean romance. And it's called Romancing Her Rival. It's a little novella, and it's about 5 friends, and each novella goes through all the friends. I just have that one, but it's really cute, really short, about this girl who is to inherit her aunt estate because her parents are not well off. They're a little bit, but not all that much. And but the aunt decides to leave it to the son of the guy who takes care of the estate. So they send her off to live with the aunt in order to recuperate the estate, to try to change the aunt's mind. And the girl and the guy have been friends since childhood, but now they're rivals because they feel like he stole her inheritance. They feel weird about it because they are friends, but she also doesn't want to be destitute, obviously, and we know how that goes in Regency times. If she doesn't have that inheritance, she has nothing, and she has to marry for money someone who she doesn't love. But they also are gonna develop like something there, and it's really cute, really short, really classic Regency. So I like them too. That's really well done. So yeah, I think those are my favorite couples. The best written book I read all year, definitely Six of Crows has to be one of them. Six of Crows, Prodigal Summer. I love this year Silvia Moreno Garcia. So anything Silvia Moreno Garcia does, I love. Gods of Jade and Shadow, Mexican Gothic, I really liked. The Yellow Wallpaper, and Latsoe, I really like. This is the damn season, when especially when you think that a 16-year-old wrote that. Moon of Turning Leaves. I really love the way Wabishik writes. What else? Braiding Sweetgrass from Robin Wall Kimmerer. I hope I'm saying that right. Right. And Prodigal Summer from Barbara Kingsolver, and Translating Myself and Others from Jhumpa Lahiri has a different type of writing. I feel like sometimes it's a bit more informative, but I really like that. It lets you learn a bit more as they're also telling stories. And also Women Eating, which is a literary fiction, which is really weird, but I really liked it. If you like that women rage thing, I really like that one. So yeah, those are my favorite book that I push most people to read. I think I really have talked about a lot, especially during Goodreads Choice Awards. I really talked a lot about The Truth According to Ember, and I really pushed that one a lot down people's throats so they would vote for it. Moon of the Turning Leaves, and what else? I think those are the ones that I talked about the most this year. Definitely. My favorite cover of the year, I always love the Six of Crows cover. I always thought that Latsoy cover was really beautiful too. Gods of Jade and Shadow, I've always loved that cover. I love the Dragon Fruit cover. This was a book of the month read. I think it's a debut also. It's Polynesian story, a little bit of fantasy. I really like that cover too. And The City We Became, I love that cover and I love that book. I know I haven't talked about it a lot, but sci-fi, not dystopian, sci-fi, people embodying boroughs from New York City, fighting with an entity, diversity. I thought it was amazing. Yeah, so I think definitely one of my favorites of the year. Favorite book adaptation. What have I watched? It was a book adaptation. Did I watch anything this year? There was a book adaptation. I don't remember. I mean, I watched Heartstopper, but I didn't read the book. Did I watch anything? Oh, I watched. I didn't read the book, but I watched Interview with a Vampire, the series, and I remember watching the movie, the first one, when I was little. Yeah, and I actually liked the series. So yeah, I think I like that one. What else? What else did I watch? I don't remember what I watched. I watch a lot of things, but I don't remember all of them. I forget what I watched. I didn't watch Dune 1 or 2, so yeah, don't ask me about that one. Although I really like sci-fi, I never really wanted to watch that one. Let me know if I should. Um, what books made me cry? Most Ardently made me cry. Not the most. Like I don't cry a lot with books. Um, but Most Ardently made me cry, and that was a surprise. I didn't expect for that one to make me cry, like happy tears. There's a really sweet moment between Oliver and his father, and that really made me cry. What would make you laugh the most? Made me laugh. The Truth According to Amber made me laugh a lot. Um, New favorite author you discovered this year? I didn't discover her this year, but I definitely liked. I read a lot of Silvia Moreno Garcia. I read a lot of Tilly Wallace because I'm reading her series of Manners and Monsters. I read a lot of Julia Quinn reluctantly. I wanted to see what the hype was about. I loved the Penelope story book 4. I read the other ones, didn't like them as much. I like the friends to lovers trope, I guess, apparently, because that's my favorite one. I was really invested in that one. That's the only one that I liked so far. The other ones were like, eh. But it comes up like I read a lot of Julia Quinn because of that. And I read a lot of, who is the other one that I read a lot of? Silvia Moreno Garcia, Tilly Wallace, Julia Quinn, and someone else. I can't remember who else. But the one that I loved everything I read was Silvia Moreno Garcia. Even the ones that are necessarily not for me, like the ones that I know that are not my favorite, like genre wise maybe, or how the story's going. I can appreciate the storytelling, and I like the book, and I like the way the story is being told. It is not necessarily my type of story, but I really like how she writes. What is the best audiobook you listen to this year? I really like audiobooks where they have the whole like setup, cast, sounds, and everything. I really like those, but I really liked The Gods of Jade and Shadow. I really like that one. I listened to that one in Spanish. I really like the way it was made and produced and everything. I really like that one. So yeah, I think I'm gonna say that one. And what is the best manga you read this year? So those are two that Gabby added, the audiobook and the manga. I'm gonna pay more attention next year to my audiobooks and keep a list so that I can give you a better answer next year, since I mostly do listen to audiobooks. And the manga, I'm just getting into it. I don't know a lot about it, so the only one that I think I read was Spy Family, so that's the one that I'm gonna say. I have a couple here, so I'm gonna get more into it next year. But for now, it's Spy Family. I know that it's really popular and all that, but yeah, that's gonna be my choice. And yeah, those are all the questions for the 2024 reading survey. Let me know what you read, what you think. Have you read any of these? Are some of these hot takes? Let me know what you think right there in the comments. I will try to do the end of the year book tag and another video for stats if I have time, hopefully, and upload it within the next couple of days. And just remember that if you want to know a bit more about what I'm reading and what I'm all of my reviews, you have down there on the description all of my social media where I keep uploading the books that I'm actually reading in actual time with reviews and everything. Also all the ways that you can follow me on Fable, on Storygraph, and on Goodreads, and also all the ways that you can support me and the channel. I would really appreciate it. Remember that you can always like this video if you are liking what I'm saying, and you can always subscribe. A lot of you are here but I'm not subscribing, so go ahead and hit that button, and you can also hit that bell so you can get notified every time I upload a video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you had a wonderful Christmas, and I hope that I see you on the next video. Remember to keep reading and keep blooming, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye!